Oh, sorry. I'm going to cut off most of this, but that's actually a great idea. Of course it is, right? To
I
get
think you should
content out there.
because I just feel like one, indexing, like podcasts are great and sometimes people find it and then they binge, but also people might be typing in search stuff and then boom.
Yeah, and it's funny because I feel like I'm talking to someone who knows 1,000 times more about
It's all good.
all this world than me. But like, if you want to reach people, YouTube has a far bigger search engine than podcasts.
Yeah.
There's going to just be more exposure. So the thing I could do too with recording a lot of these on Zoom is it automatically, as you know, records the whole thing in audio and video, and I can just upload it pretty quickly. So yeah.
Absolutely. So here's my gift to you. If you want YouTube to be on, I have an international guy who's crazy at getting good views and
Okay.
subscribers. So if you want mine to be the first or somebody else's, let me know. And then when you launch the channel, just say, here's the channel. We make him co-brand admin, and then he just starts blowing it up.
What does he do?
He's an international guy. I found him.
Okay.
I found him like he basically he goes into chat rooms, he links it to all kinds of social, like he just blows it up.
Yeah.
Like if you ever see a YouTube
Awesome.
video with me
Awesome.
and 25,000 views, you're like, what the crap? It's that, that's what it is.
Yep.
It's all real. He doesn't use bots or any of those farms or anything like that. But yeah,
Awesome.
cool.
How do you like? There's 100 things I'd love to catch up with you on. I did want to make sure we record some for the
Oh yeah.
podcast because, and the e mind got me back. This is not just something in Kary's past, but it's a story God keeps using about you moving from pastor at Powell
Oh
to
yeah.
you had no idea what the adventure was going to be like. You just knew it. It involved a
Yeah.
risk.
Yeah.
And
No, we can go totally right into it and you can then edit whatever you want.
all right, awesome. And I don't know if these podcasts, like I have recorded several at coffee shops or restaurants, so there's background noise, it's more of a
Yeah.
conversation, not like
Yeah.
I'm in some studio
I
doing,
get you.
trying to be. So if we go off topic for a little while, that's fine too, like however you want to. But Kary, I do want to say, I'll probably say more about this near the end of this episode. Like, I'm finally here.
Yeah.
I'm
I could
finally
feel it.
here.
I could
And
feel it.
I'm yes, and I don't know why I was the last one to this party, but like I'm finally the last year, maybe just under a year. I was like, I have to step out and do this, and God's affirmed it in my heart over and over. Used a ton of people in my life in the last 5 years, but definitely the last 12 months, and it was sort of
Mm.
like, dude, you're 51. Like it's now or never. And I had a bunch of other job offers to do other things, and it was like none of those things will make my heart sing. None of those things
Wow.
seem to match where I've been. I want to be a soul on fire and not just a soul punching a clock. And so, so
So you went all in.
yeah, yeah,
Wow.
and it's exciting, it's scary, but it's also like you get so many confirmations, and I'm loving it. So
That's cool.
yeah, the thing that's been helpful is having a board around me. And by the way, I'm having more myself and then other lead pastors. I'm working with mostly lead pastors of large churches or those that like just need soul care. They need
Yeah.
someone in their life, and more of them need a personal board like you had
Mm.
or like
Yeah.
we've talked about. Yep. And I have that, which is great. I have we're a 501c3. I have a board. They're great at saying like helping me refine or saying to me, Gary, here is your lane. Like
That's
we need
cool.
you to be in this lane. You thrive in this lane. Let's get someone else to do that, or
Yeah.
find someone else to do this. And I'm like, okay, I could do website stuff. It just would kill me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, so I'm like leaning into being a connector and a lover of pastors
Yeah.
and anything else I can delegate.
That's great. Do you know, I don't know much about him, but like, isn't there a group called Ex Pastors or isn't there like a guy named Greg Atkinson or have you run across any of
I've
those?
heard his name and I know about ex pastors, but
I don't even know if that's the
not
same
much.
guy, but That Greg Atkinson dude always pops up on my Facebook. I think he's doing something with pastors, and then, but yeah, I just didn't know if there's like any collaborations, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Well, yeah. So I just want to say thank you, and I could tell you more
Yeah,
about all that stuff
awesome.
later. But yeah,
It's a
you
great logo, by the way.
finally got me. Thank you. Yeah, that's really sweet. The Steve, who designed all of our stuff, he's a lifelong friend of mine from high school, and he's chief creative officer at a large firm in Cleveland. So he oversees designers
That's cool.
for a living, and a lot of his stuff the Cavaliers use. And anyway, so he's just doing all this stuff, pro bono.
Yeah,
So it's
so
great.
good.
And he's a pastor's kid, which is why he's in. So,
I
and you
love
are
it.
a pastor's kid.
I was.
All right. So why don't we start? We'll just let it rip.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
All right. Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Love Pastors podcast. It's Gary here, and you guys, we are just on a roll, getting to reconnect with friends of mine who I have seen just in amazing ways as leaders, as people that care about pastors for whatever
Mhm.
reason, and a chance really to, as you guys listen, to encourage pastors and their families. Like it's a different life. But today, you guys, I am thrilled to bring to the stage for Love Pastors, Dr. Kary Oberbrunner. What's up, Kary?
Hey, former roommate of Gary Underwood.
That's right. We 704 Chestnut Avenue,
Oh
right?
my gosh. So many good stories, man. So many good stories.
We have come a long way, Kary. We really have. We met probably when we were, well, I'm older than you, barely, but I'm like,
Barely. Yeah,
we
yeah.
met in our early 20s, and you were on this track to being a pastor.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of Indiana studying,
Yeah.
like, you're from a pastor's family. So there's some of this, you guys, our audience is going to see. Man, Kary, your background, what was it like growing up in a pastor's family? Like, how did
Yeah.
that impact you for better or worse?
I think the good things were that my parents still to this day are incredibly motivated by helping people.
Hmm.
Believe it or not, my parents are in their low mid 70s. And I just called my dad 2 days ago and said, "Hey, what's going on?" And he said, "Hey, your mom and I are running a summer outreach
What?
in a mobile home park, and 180 kids just came
Come on.
and three kids just accepted the Lord." Yeah. So I mean, this is what I'm talking about. They don't believe in retirement. My mom is works at a nursery, like as in like trees and stuff now. She used to run a Christian adoption agency out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin called ECFA. And then my dad has been with the Brethren in Christ, Christian Missionary Alliance, Salvation Army. I mean, you name it. Thanksgiving dinner, we had homeless people at our house eating
Wow. Wow.
Thanksgiving dinner. Like it was crazy. So those were all the good things. The bad things, I don't, I'm really anti Gen Xers, millennials, and Zs that hate the church.
Huh.
Yeah, I really am. Like, I feel like it's sexy, whatever, like, oh, back in our day, Gary, it was like the emergent church, or whatever. And every generation has had this like rebellion of like, yeah, the church did me wrong. I hate the church or whatever. And here's what somebody t once told me. What's his name? I was like,
Right.
dang, what do you mean by that?
The person.
Yeah, what's his name? What's her name? Because here's the thing, you can't ever forgive an institution.
Hmm.
I mean, Jesus, last time I checked, Jesus didn't say forgive your institutions.
Hmm.
He said forgive your enemies. So as long as you're in a state of anger and in a state of I hate the church, then you're never going to grow and have healing. So the truth is like I probably did people wrong, people did me wrong, and they claimed the name of Christ. And like I need to go through the one-on-one, if your brother has offended you, like whole thing.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. I got a box here. I didn't even try to have a box, but I got a box here. And this is reminding me of my old articles I used to write for Relevant. But anyway, I think we all have what's called a God box. And in this God box is accurate things and inaccurate things. Okay. So, like, what I mean by that is that in this box might be like, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. Like, that's good. But also in this box is like you can't wear your hat in church,
Hmm.
or like, you know, whatever, my pastor lied to me or whatever. So like what I suggest young people do, or old people, is dump out their God box, because we've all had a box of whatever, and then only put back in that box like what is actually good, sound, biblical.
Yeah.
Then that will be our theology versus all the other extra stuff we put in there.
Interesting. Did you ever find yourself doing that personally? Like, hey, you grew up in a pastor's family, you went to a Christian college,
Christian high school, Christian
seminary.
grade school,
Your
college.
box was full of stuff, man.
Oh
You,
yeah.
you got so much information, examples, inspiration, good
Yeah.
and bad. Like, at what point did your faith become yours, or like you're like, I need to focus on what
Yeah.
I can carry with me the rest of my life.
I think my big change, and I'm not afraid to go deep because that's just how Gary and I roll.
Mhm.
Remember our lime chips, man?
Oh, I love the lime chips and
Oh yeah.
late
Oh
night
yeah.
Tekken battles and
Oh
Lamar
yeah.
downstairs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Bag of leaves.
Oh, oh my gosh, that's so good. So many good memories. So here's where I had to go with this. By the way, I pastored Gary's first church. So Gary was at this small country church,
That's
and
right.
remember that? And then
Shout out Van Dynes.
yeah, and then I took over that church, which was great, and lots of good memories. But here's where it all became real for me, that I think there's two types of people, the prodigal son and the older brother. And I think that you're wired for one or the other. In other words, one chose rebellion, the other chose religion. And
Hmm.
so I have a younger brother who became the prodigal who chose rebellion. I chose religion, the older brother. But here's the funny, crazy thing. Both brothers were far from the father.
Hmm.
See, so a lot of people don't
Right.
realize they think, oh no, the older brother was close to the father. Yeah, in proximity, but he was actually angry. He's actually angry, and that was me.
Hmm.
So I grew up thinking, you know what, God's standards here, so my standards here. And this
Yeah.
isn't all that. All it just means is like if you look at church history, it was asceticism. In other words, I can't come to God for grace, so I'll come to God for works. And I think I was like the Pharisee of Pharisees. And what I began to realize, Gary, is that all that anger was at myself, and it turned into self-hatred, which turned into cutting. And so, believe it or not, folks, when I knew Gary, when I was in seminary, he didn't know, nobody knew, but I was actually like struggling with an addiction to self-injury. And it wasn't because, oh, I was so depressed. It was because I was actually angry that I couldn't be perfect. And
Oh,
rather than go to God and say, I'll humbly come to you for your son to forgive me, I knew the gospel in my head. But what it actually became was, I'll just work harder. I'll
yeah.
just try harder. I'll just get close to God so he won't allow pain in my life. So, Gary, you kind of know the story now and all that, but it's like I had to take my anger from myself and put it on God. And so my big breakthroughs actually became almost like those imprecatory psalms where David is mad. He's like really mad, like Psalm 69, Psalm 109. They're
Yeah. Yeah.
that theologians like they kind of freak out. And they're like, well, David had a divine perspective of justice and
We
you
like
know,
to neuter it, right? We
right,
like to
right,
filter it. And
right.
yeah, and Kary, you were going through so much that I didn't even realize. I'm sorry. Yeah,
No, but listen,
I thought I was a good
I didn't
friend,
ask for
and
help. I didn't ask for help. I didn't even know how to verbalize that I was hurting, you know?
well, and you've even talked about that stage or that reality you were in as like recovering Pharisee. Like
Oh yeah.
at some point, you started a path towards recovery, or you
Yeah.
started I want to embrace my identity in Christ and not keep score against myself or not keep score against God or people, but I just want to be free.
Yep.
When did that happen for you? Because I think you were still in a church role.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You were
So I mean,
still a pastor.
yeah. So this might help out pastors, but like we're all messed up, man. So like I got to a place that, yeah, everything was kind of quote hitting the fan, as they say. And I would preach on Sunday. And because I was struggling with depression so much, I might cut on Monday.
Huh.
You see what I'm saying? Like, so and now let's face it, other pastors might be like, I preach on Sunday and look at porn on Monday, or I preach on Sunday, or I, you
Get
know,
drunk.
get
Yep.
drunk, or, like take your take your poison. And self-injury, by the way, it's a twisted form of pride.
Yeah.
Because here's what it is. Pride is a fixation on yourself for how good you are. Self-injury is a fixation on yourself for how bad you are. So
Mm. Mm.
either one, and you are the focus. And so what I had to do, Gary, was I'll tell you what actually got me through all this was you remember the story a little bit, I think. But I had a professor who wasn't walking with the Lord, who wasn't in the seminary. He was in the counseling program, but he failed me from I don't know if you know the story or not, you might, but he failed me from a counseling class because he said you're not fit to be a counselor. Um, because here's what was happening. Back then at Grace, they would observe your counseling, and anytime
Yeah.
somebody would,
Yeah.
right? Anytime, and this was all done with permission, like they would
Sure.
observe you counseling real people. And anytime somebody shared real issues, I would emotionally like reject that. Like I didn't want to go near their pain
Mm.
because I wasn't comfortable with my own pain. Now, I
Mm.
didn't know that at the time, but they kept saying, "Yeah, you just seem really like you're blocked, you're emotionally blocked and all this." So I basically um okay, they said because you might fail, what's the real issue? And that was the first time I publicly shared in confidence with my advisor, "Hey, I struggle with self-injury."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
rather than them being like, "Hey man, thanks for sharing, let's," and I don't blame them. I'm not like, "Oh, I'm mad at people." I think it was all part of God's plan. But anyway, rather than them accept me, that's when I got the letter in my mailbox that said, "You failed the class."
Mm. Mm.
So, I mean,
Like, thanks a lot.
yeah, I just
Yeah.
want pastors to realize like my whole thing in life was not to fail. And then here I share and then I fail. But Dave Plaster, mentor to you, mentor to me,
Yep.
he heard about that because I went to him and I'm like, "Hey man, this is the truth. What's going on?" So like God has a way of revealing everybody's stuff, not because he hates them, he wants to set them free. And so I went to Dave Plaster and he's like, "Look, man, we're gonna get you help. I want you to go to counseling. We're gonna get that grade changed." By the way, that was a professor who was sleeping with a student who was married.
Mm.
Okay, so like,
Okay.
my point is like everyone's broken.
Yep.
He wasn't the enemy. We have an enemy who came to steal, kill, and destroy.
That's right.
Anyway, I'm really that was the path toward freedom, Gary. And then it was only later, much later, that I felt God saying, once I was free, I want you to write that book, Your Secret Name, where you tell the story. And
That's
then, and I
right.
was like, heck no.
Wait, Kary, was that your first book or was Journey Toward Relevance?
No, that was so check it out. That was my third book because I was so like still in a state of I don't want people to think I have struggles. I want to write how to be in the world but not of it.
Yeah.
Actually, it might have been my third or my fourth. But yeah, man,
Wasn't
I
there
was.
a thin red line or something?
Oh yeah, yeah. So it
Fine line.
was like Journey to Our Relevance, Called, The Fine Line. Yeah, those were all the safe books. And then God comes to me and is like, "I want you to write the scary book." And I was like, "No way. I'm not doing it." Because I was at Grace Powell.
Yep.
Here I was, suburban church, salary, benefits, nice people, great people. But
Awesome career path, man. It looked like you were
oh yeah.
2000 and it's growing and
Yeah.
you
I
could
mean
take
they
it, potentially be
yeah.
the lead pastor in the future. And
That's it. They tagged me to be the successor and I was like, okay, I'm gonna tell the world I used to cut myself and carve F words on my body. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Like I thought they'd be like, what the heck's up with this guy? He can't be around our youth. So instead, like I really got to give a shout out to Grace Church Powell, Rick
Mm.
Newsom and even though whatever. I was hardwired to be an entrepreneur. I only realized that later, but they were very accepting. And,
Mm,
you know, that was the book. I'm not going to say that put me on the map because I'm reaching, endless people. No, but here's what it did do, Gary. It allowed me to be truly free.
mm.
Because now nobody could be like, well, you got that secret that you've never talked about.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. And so that book was your secret name.
That was your secret name. And God used that book to like free up so many people, drug addicts, prostitutes, workaholics, because the book is basically about the white stone in Revelation, the new name given to the one who overcomes. And it basically says, look, and this is maybe where we get into it for the podcast. Like your identity is not pastor.
Right.
So I want people to realize that like that's hard. Like people think if I lose my church, I lose me. Just
Yeah.
like just like business people. Today I'm in the business world, but I mean your work can become your identity. And why do so many men die, like literally, after they retire? Because they've lost their purpose.
So I remember we had reconnected because your church wasn't far from mine, and we worked out
Yeah.
at the same YMCA a bunch.
Yeah.
You worked out a lot more than I did.
No, I get you. I get you.
But we got to connect a lot more, and I got to see your heart come alive, like your
Mm.
dreaming, visionary, take risks, let's live the adventure,
Oh yeah.
and then starting to wrestle with what if that means not being a pastor? What if that
Yeah.
means a different? What if my family, like, what if there's a different future for us and all that stuff? And guys, as you're listening to this, like, fast forward 20 some years or maybe 15 years,
Yeah.
Kary is a globally known author. He's a professor of entrepreneurship. He's written how many books by now?
14.
Okay, and you've trained how many authors around the world?
We've published nearing 2,000 authors.
Right? Igniting Souls Worldwide, Author Academy Elite. Like,
Yeah.
you probably know all that. Like, you have done and been and achieved so much as a leader, and you have this insatiable uh energy and zest for life that takes you,
Mm.
like, I love the e-mind and your trip to France and the
Right.
challenge to entrepreneurs, because some
Yeah.
pastors I think are latent entrepreneurs. I didn't really realize
Oh
I
yeah.
was one until about 3 or 4 years ago, and it was like, shoot, I got to start stuff. Right.
Absolutely.
I got dreams, I got ideas, I got skills that I didn't realize were things. And so all that to say, but I got to see your heart come alive as you took the step. Maybe you could
Yeah.
talk about the step from pastoral career that maybe
Mhm.
was stable, looked like success to
Oh yeah.
everybody who knew the previous Kary.
Yep.
And you're like, no, I have to,
Oh
right?
yeah.
I have to
It's tough.
create a
Yeah.
new future because my heart, like God is calling me out of this.
Yep. It was very tough. And I'd like to say, oh, it was easy and all this jazz. But the truth is that I'll tell the story in a story. There's a guy named Chet Scott. In fact, I just texted him before I got on the phone. He was my, eh, you know, he's a guy who's eh, amazing. He's probably one of the most influential people in my life. But he basically said to me early in my pastoral career, because I was this kid's youth pastor, and he said, "Look, you can't afford me, but I'm a business coach, and I'll be your coach." And I was
Mm.
like, "Cool." And Gary, what he did honestly in the beginning was just cuss at me a lot. He really did. He's just like, you're full blank.
You're a hypocrite.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. He just kept seeing like fear. Like he was really good at picking up fear. And here's how it would manifest. For example, I'd say, "Hey Gary, I got to tell you this thing, but hey, it's just between you and me. Okay? You can't share this with anybody." In other words, like I just kept like he could just sniff it so fast about this unbelief and this like duplicity of like what I really want to do and what I am doing. So finally, he had left the church because honestly, the church, I think, and this is a whole separate episode, but I think that the church is not good for many entrepreneurs.
Mm.
So that's a whole nother topic. But we had these great entrepreneurs at our church, but then they would kind of like bounce off because I don't think the church has done well to engage entrepreneurs because they're just such a unique breed that they don't want to be in meetings. They don't want a ton of politics. They don't want slow, and so like we could talk later about that. But anyway,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but Chet calls me so he calls me and I'm like, "Oh crap, this is Chet. I better take it outside the church." So I literally say, "Hold on," and I take it outside. And this was in May of 2012. Okay.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, Kary, I just saw you on Facebook, just traveling and speaking a bunch of places." He said, "Does Rick know about that?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Is he cool with it?" I'm like, "Yeah, he's cool with it." He's like, "Does your wife know about it?" I'm like, "Yeah, she's cool. She's cool with it." And then he says, "Is God cool with it?" And I'm like, "I don't know. What do you mean is God cool? You know?
I don't know.
I
Yeah.
don't know."
Right.
And then he does this, Gary. He goes, "I think you're full of blank." He said, "I think you're living off the church's dime because you're scared. And I think you're telling everybody around your talks to go live big lives of adventure, and you're scared to go live your own adventure." And he says, "I think this, you can't take the ring and stay in the Shire."
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
he says, "Call me back when you grow a pair." Boom. I'm
Holy
serious.
cow. Holy cow.
I'm serious, man. And listen, I never had to throw up like so fast. Like I didn't throw up, but I felt so nauseous because I felt like, am I on candid camera? Like what's going on right here? I
This
felt
guy's reading me. He's right.
I felt so exposed. I felt
Yeah.
like he exactly called it out. And so I'm not even kidding. Within 48 hours, I was in my senior pastor's office turning in my resignation.
Kary.
I did,
Yeah.
yeah. Now Rick said, "Hey, hold on.
Sure.
You've been here 12 years, 11 years. We got to have an exit plan and we got to tell the church, blah, blah, blah." But
Yeah, it's not like you had a fight and then all of a sudden Kary's out. It was like, wait a minute, this is a different thing going on in your heart that you're like,
yeah,
I can't do this. Sorry, I can't not do this.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
right before that, I had met John Maxwell because I kept looking for a mentor who had been in pastor ministry, but had left in good, usually you leave a church if you've stolen money or had an affair.
right.
Right? So, like, where was a good model of a pastor who left for the next best thing? And so I reached out to three mentors. They all turned me down. And then all of a sudden, through a crazy story, I met John Maxwell, which I just saw
Mm.
at the World Trade Center on a rooftop launch party 3 days ago. It was surreal. I haven't seen him in like 2 years. But you just saw him at the
Yeah, he's speaking at the summit today. I'm at the Grace Akron campus, and he actually was in Canton, Ohio. John Maxwell was like earlier this year for a big
I
event that
love
our
it.
local leaders did. But anyway, go ahead.
No,
He
but he was the example, man, and he's 78 and joining his group, the John Maxwell team in 2011 started to give me the belief that, you know what, maybe I could have an impact outside the four walls of the church. But honestly, I had such little belief in myself, Gary, that I didn't think I could offer the world anything. And that's not being humble. That's just like I didn't think I could, I was scared of business people. I'm like, I don't know their language. Money's bad. Like, I don't know. And then what switched it though for me was value creation. Money's just the result of creating value for people. So I thought the focus was, oh my gosh, I got to replace my income at Powell. That's me, 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 me. Instead, I got to go create value for people. And so that's how you become successful in the business world is you basically say, how can I create real value? I don't even matter. It's what value I can provide.
So you said about creating resources, events, like how did you create value
Yeah.
in those
So
first
it's
3 to 5 years? Because as a pastor and just your heart, your story, your gifts, you had a lot of value to offer, especially when you're like, I'm free. I'm not hiding anything. I'm just going to tell people who I am.
yeah.
And people love that. Like they're drawn to someone that's real and is human and is not afraid.
Yeah. It's probably, and we got to tell a quick story of your wife and my wife, but we went on double dates in the beginning and stuff, but Jenny and my wife Kelly, like that's probably what attracted me to Kelly, was because she seemed like pretty free, and
Mhm.
I was not used to that. And I was used to uh relationships where I could be control it, because think about it, like pain, self-injury is controlling your own pain. So like
Yeah.
a lot of my life was about control, believe it or not. And I think maybe some pastors can relate to that. But yeah, it started out with me as the brand. And I'm not embarrassed to say that, but I'm not proud of that. Like it became, at first it was Kary's books, Your Secret Name, Deeper Path, Day Job to Dream Job. And then it was how can I speak, coach, train, consult on it. And then I started to create 18 streams of income around each book. And then Gary, what people began to say is, whoa, hold on. Yeah,
Huh.
we like your stuff,
Huh.
but how can you help us create 18 streams of income around our book?
Yeah. Yeah.
See? And so the model had to change. I only had about this much impact because it was about me. But then when I said, okay, hold on, there's a model here and they actually want to learn, then I taught them the model, okay, through a done with you or done do it yourself model called Author Academy Elite. Then it grew bigger when larger influencers came to me and said, I don't care about how to do it, you do it for me.
Yeah.
And that's where we are today. Now people are coming to us. Like I'm not even joking. Like some of the biggest people in the world, like our guy Peter Diamandis, who's tight with Elon Musk. Like Peter Diamandis, like he's a 5-time New York Times bestselling author, and he's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
he's like do it. And Dan Sullivan has reached out. Like so, all the people that I looked up to that I asked for mentoring, even John Maxwell, his team
Yeah.
ended up hiring out. So that was surreal. But yeah, it's really about how much value you can create for other people.
Here's the fascinating thing, Kary, too, because we use this phrase when they used to be a pastor, now they're not. We say they left the ministry. And
Ah, I
I
love it.
think God expanded your ministry, to use an overused word, exponentially, like beyond what you could have possibly dreamed.
Yeah,
And only he can do that. But you leaned in and you're like, I'm here. Like
yeah.
take me, and you're willing to step out and take risks. Like
But constantly, it
yeah.
never gets easier. Cedarville came to me 3 years ago and said, "Hey, listen, man, you know, uh, it's a crazy story, but long story short, they're like." Remember, oh, by the way, on my desk, I'm not even kidding, right there, there's my rejection letter from Cedarville from 2005. Okay.
Seriously.
Seriously, I
Seriously.
framed it. So I saved it when I applied to be a professor because I didn't think the church was right for me, but I didn't know what it was. They rejected me and said, "We don't want you to be a Bible professor. You don't have what it takes." I'm like, "All right, no worries." So then I became an entrepreneur. Then they came knocking on my door 3 years ago. I mean, this is the story of my life. And then they said, "Hey, listen, can you be the professor?" But here's what I said, Gary. I said, no, because I want to be an entrepreneur. Still, I can't give up my companies.
Right.
But then I said, fine, if you're open to it. I taught a class one time. I said, you see if you like me, I see if I like you. Great,
Hmm.
it was a good fit. And then I said, but I can only come in X amount of days a week.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, that's not normal, but okay, let's do it. And it's been working great. So in other words, my point is like you have to know you.
Yeah.
Because I was telling people I'll never be an employee again. Guess what? And I'm an employee at Cedarville while running two companies.
Yeah.
So my point is like you got to know yourself and say, here's who I am, and then you can't be deceitful. And it's almost like Daniel, like we're not going to eat the vegetables.
Huh.
We're not going to eat
Yeah.
the vegetables. We're not going to bow, and the chips fall.
Well, it's funny because we talk about with pastors, we'll have this conversation like you are not your job. Like
Mm,
your identity is in Christ. Um, and your identity and your purpose is not like totally tied up in your career or people's expectations of you.
that's
I think
good.
I think there's something to your story that I hope will encourage pastors that are listening, that like not in a sense of control necessarily, but healthy boundaries and self-awareness.
Yeah.
Like you have created a life that fits you and is impact like and is igniting souls
Yeah.
to use your. I love that, by the way. Like, but
Yeah.
like
Thank
you are
you.
you are impacting people, but some of it's because you are leaning into, hey, here's who God has shown me that I am.
Hmm.
I'm going to be true to that. If others want to show up for it,
Yeah.
great. you know.
Here's what shifted. And I apologize because I got like 3 more minutes, but we'll have to do a part two
Yeah, yeah, of
about
course.
why the church isn't attracting entrepreneurs. Maybe that could be a topic. But
Yeah, yeah,
what you just shared, Gary, and not in an arrogant way, but Dan Sullivan, my coach, says this. What happened is I became the buyer instead of the seller. So this is a really important business principle. When you need something from somebody, you are the seller. Oh, I need clients, I need authors, I need Cedarville. I'm now selling them. And that gives them
yeah.
the control. Not in an arrogant way, but when you can truly become and say, like, this is who I am, this is who I'm called to reach, this is my gifting. Does that fit? You then become the buyer. The person who can walk away is the buyer. And I think Jesus was like that. You know, people said, "Hey, Jesus, uh, I'll follow you." And he's like, "Hey, foxes have holes, birds have nests. The Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head." Like, boom. Hey, let me go bury my mother and father first. Let the dead bury the dead. Like Jesus was the total buyer.
Yeah, he set the terms, and if they want it, great. He didn't run around begging people to, right,
Yeah.
to pray prayers or to get baptized.
Isn't that crazy? And what that does is it communicates strength. So if people go to my Opus, it's karyoberbrunner.com/opus, OPUS, but
Yeah, yeah.
That's from Chet Scott. That's that guy I mentioned. But I literally took a lot of time and wrote out my overarching vision, my purpose, my unifying strategies, and my scorecard for significance. And that's really who I'm called to be. And then if I'm supposed to do something, it fits in there.
Well, Kary, I'm actually going to do that process with LovePastors because that's
That'd
where
be
I've been the
awesome.
last few years. It's like I have to step out and do this, and it's been a risk. It's been a lot of fun, but it's also been. I'm glad I didn't go first, right? But I feel like I am,
Yeah.
and and along the way, like to encourage others who God might be stepping you into a new reality or a new decision, or you're learning things about yourselves. Like lean into that. Don't be afraid to, right, to ask the tough questions or to have friends that will call you out, like your guy Chet,
Oh yeah.
right? So Kary, thanks for saying yes, or like 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 really taking a heart and not playing it safe. I've always loved that about you. I know that you have fears, but you're like, all
Oh
right,
yeah.
I'm gonna face them. I'm gonna take the trip to France anyway. I don't know who's going. I don't know what the
Right.
weather's gonna be like. I don't know French, but you're going
That's right.
for it. And I love that about you, Kary. So, dude, thanks and keep it up.
Hey man, we'll be in touch for sure. I'm proud of you, and I'm glad you said yes to this Love Pastors thing.
Thanks. All right,
Sweet
bro. That
man.
was awesome. Yeah, let's do it again some other time soon, but it's great to see you. That was fun.
Where are you out of right now? You're in Ohio?
Yeah, we live in Green. You know where Uniontown
Yeah, yeah.
is?
I
Yeah.
remember that. Yeah.
Yep.
So I do commute once in a while, to Cedarville. So I'll text you, and if you're ever available, yeah, I'd love to hear the more of the story.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay.
All
All
right.
right,
Great
man.
to see you,
See ya.
brother. See
Take
you.
care. Bye.